Folks, we are back. It is the Flurry Sports Stardom Situm Advice Show. Is that what we're calling this thing? Right before Thursday Night Football, we are here to answer your questions that you might have, going along with our articles that we have written to help you out this week. I am Zach McAdoo, handle right there. Wrong way. He is Henry John, sitting pretty comfortably, if I could say so myself. But internet quality could be better. But how you doing tonight?
Hey, I got to work with what I got, man. I live in a box here. I do everything out of this box, so we're just gonna roll with it. And yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna stream with you, I might as well be comfortable. I don't want to be sitting or standing somewhere where I might actually fall over when you drop some take like the Panthers are pretty good or something like that from last week. So
We're taking all my shit out of context. That only took 1 minute. I mean,
I'm ready to go though. I'm excited for week 3. A lot of stuff going on around the league and in fantasy, so it should be fun.
yeah. Hopefully, no quotes get taken out of context this time around. But that remains to be seen. Do you want to start on your? Did you do running backs this week?
I did do running backs this week. Do we want to start there with the articles?
Well, I mean, we'll wait for questions to come in.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Drop your questions in the chat if you got them. Week 3 fantasy football start sit. We will take questions right up to kickoff of Thursday night. It can be involving the Thursday night game. Doesn't have to be though. In the meantime, we will dive into the start sit articles posted over on FLURRYSports.org. They are all ready to be read, dissected. I mean, laugh us out of the room if you really want. I don't know, but we had some bold calls last week. I know I got a bold call in my running backs article this week, so I'm curious to get McAdoo's thoughts on that. So yeah, please jump in the chat, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel while you're there. Follow on X, wherever you're consuming us. We are super stoked that you're with us tonight. McAdoo, any off the cuff thoughts before we jump into the articles or anything with the Thursday night game? Anything at all as we go into week 3? I think for me, it's man, we got injuries piling up here. So some big names are out, and some injuries defensively and to offensive lines as well. Thinking of the Rams specifically, that whole team is a mess right now. So a lot of moving parts here. As the games get to be played, we get more data points, but we also have players injured, going on IR, big names on IR, big names uncertain. Um, what stands out to you here as we jump into week 3?
So there's a couple things, and I think the first thing, which Thursday Night Football is kind of talking about, but at the same time, we haven't had a rookie QB throw a touchdown yet, which that's surprising to me. Granted, it's only like 3 out there, but I feel like if you're 1 or 2 first overall quarterback coming off the board, you probably should throw a touchdown in your first 2 games. And granted, Bo Nix hasn't looked great either, so it's been a mixed bag. And because I think Jaden Daniels has it, it's just the team around him is kind of also not very good, if we could say so. But they did get bailed out Sunday with their kicker kicking 7 field goals to beat the Giants. But the other thing is, like you said, all the injuries piling up. The Rams have like a whole offense and defense out. It feels like at this point, like
It's incredible.
It's a long list of people that are out, but it's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately, where players go down early in the season, and you just got to deal with it.
Yeah, you do. A lot of these names will be back. I don't know that we've had a soul-crushing season-ending deal quite yet. So you might be without him a month, you might be without him a couple months. In the case of Isaiah Pacheco, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, as we mentioned, the Rams there, that whole offensive line. And really, it's just where can you pivot to get production, I think, going forward. Joe Mixon might miss this week. Kenneth Walker missed last week, not necessarily in the lineup confirmed this week. So a lot of moving parts, and it's just how you adjust that that is key. We will jump into the stardom sit-up articles over on flurrysports.org here. Drop those questions in the chat, and we will do our best to help you out going into week 3. We'll start with the running backs, I guess, since McAdoo brought it up. Uh, I have DeAndre Swift as a start this week, Zach, and I'm going to be curious to see how you feel about this. He's done next to nothing here through 2 games. And to me, it's more a problem. The problem is the Bears' offensive line can't block for shit. So there's that. But if DeAndre Swift isn't going to get going this week against the Colts, when is he ever going to get it going? I don't know that there's a better matchup right now for a running back to kind of snap out of a fantasy slump. I think he gets into the RB2 range this week. He only averaged 1.39 yards per carry last week, so it was brutal. But the Colts have ceded 237 rushing yards per game through 2 weeks. We saw how terrible it was last week against the Packers. I don't know how Indianapolis thought they were going to do anything else but run the ball with Malik Willis playing quarterback. Now DeForest Buckner is on the IR, so that's a big blow to that defensive line. Give me DeAndre Swift this week. If it's not going to happen now, it's never going to happen. And after this week, I will, we'll have to rethink things as far as where he stands in the RB2, RB3 ish range pecking order, because the Bears' offensive line might be that bad, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he gets it going.
Yeah, I mean, 36 out of 37 pressures the Texans had last week on Caleb Williams. That is absurd. That is something that should not happen in this day and age. We could probably line up against the Bears' offensive line and get to the quarterback, get to Caleb Williams at this point. It's just embarrassing. But
you, yes. Me, I don't know. But maybe a past me. Maybe a future me. But I get your point.
But Swift, like you said, if it's not now, when? And the Colts defense is 19th against the run for fantasy points per game against running backs right now. So not a bad matchup for Swift, but he's got to, it's got to happen this week if they're going to keep giving him the rock.
He's getting carries. He's getting used. It's not a lack of opportunity. If he got 5 targets in the passing game last week, caught 4 of them in PPR formats. If he didn't do that, it would have been absolutely a horrendous showing. I think this is the week where he finally gives managers who drafted him something to write home about. And it might even set up, if it's a decent performance, it might turn into a kind of, if you're not believing in the Bears offensive line going forward this season, which you have to assume they'll get better, but maybe it's a case where you can look to sell him next week as well. The other start I had in the article, Jerome Ford with the Browns going up against the Giants. Kind of an interesting situation here, as Ford actually got doubled up on carries last week by Deontay Foreman. Ford's the far more efficient back. He's better in the passing game. It's kind of the same thing as for me as it is with Swift against the Colts. Like, the Giants' defense is not scaring me. We just watched Washington go up and down the field all game long against them last week, and Washington's line can't block for shit either. So I like Ford this week. I'm not necessarily a huge Browns believer. I don't like this. Everything's not fixed for me just based on what the win last week. Still got a lot of concerns there, but I think Ford gets it done. He was only ranked as the RB27 in the Fantasy Pros expert consensus rankings for week 3. Some names that were ahead of him. DeAndre Swift's a couple spots ahead. I could see him outperforming Swift this week. Zamir White with the Raiders. The Raiders haven't shown any ability to run the ball. I think Ford can best him this week. Let's see if there's another one that stands out quick. Well, one of them's in the sits, so I will get to him later, that being Najee Harris. But what do you think about Jerome Ford and this Browns-Giants matchup this week?
So I just looked. The Giants are right at midfield for giving up fantasy points per game to running backs here. 16th. Like you said, the Giants defense, they're atrocious at this point, giving up like I said earlier, 7 field goals last week. The week before, I don't even, who did they play week 1? Forget.
The Vikings.
Oh yeah, and they just got trounced by Sam Darnold of all people and Aaron Jones. So I think maybe this is 1 week you can believe in Jerome Ford right before Nick Chubb's supposed to come back, because I think he's supposed to be due back week 5 or something like that. So if you have Jerome Ford, you might as well use him before it's too late.
Yeah, and I don't know what sort of shape Chubb will be in when he gets back. I would reckon kind of a mid-season return. I think week 5 might be a little bullish there, but time will tell. Nate, we see you in the chat. What do we think about what? You got a start-sit question.
He
Let
said
us
Josh
know.
Jacobs or James Conner.
Oh, I missed that. That's not showing up in my chat. What's the question?
He said Josh Jacobs or James Conner ROS.
Josh Jacobs or James Conner. So Jacobs and the Packers against the Titans. James Conner and the Cardinals against the Lions. You got a lean there.
I am probably leaning Josh Jacobs because I think that Josh Jacobs right now, if Malik Willis starts, because I think they're gonna have to lean on Josh Jacobs a lot more against a lot more if Malik's in than Jordan Love's in, but yeah, I think it's Josh Jacobs either way. Now that I'm looking at this, because they're playing the Titans. Titans are not. They stopped the Bears, but last week against the Jets, they let Braylon Allen and Breece Hall score a lot of points on them. So I'm not a Titans believer right now.
Okay. I'm gonna go the opposite direction, I think, from you.
Rest of season. That's what ROS means. Damn it.
Oh, I still can't see the question. My chat's not working. Well, rest of season, James Conner, Josh Jacobs. Gets a little fancier there because James Conner's got a little bit of an injury history. If we're talking this week, like we were inadvertently, I would go James Conner. I think rest of the season though, give me Josh Jacobs. I feel better about him and the Packers offense. You know, they went out and acquired him. I don't think the role's going to go away. James Conner's got Trey Benson behind him potentially as he gets along in his rookie year, might eat into that workload a little bit. And the injury concern is always just a thing for me with James Conner. So I would go Jacobs rest of the season.
I'm going to go the same way as you. With A.J. Dillon being out the rest of the year, I don't think they're going to. Yes, week 1, it was a weird split carries with Josh Jacobs on his number 2. But I think that with Trey Benson, he's going to bite into a lot more James Conner's carries than the Green Bay running backs there. So I'm definitely going to go Josh Jacobs in this one.
All right, I like it. Is there any other question before Untamed Music on YouTube? Because that one just popped up for me.
One just came up. Yo, last week I flexed Brian Thomas Jr. over Mark Andrews. I was right about. Okay, you can read that.
Oh, you can continue if you want, but
I was right about that one in half PPR. Do I continue with the Rook or Mark this week? The reason Mark is a flex option is because I have Laporta.
So you got 2 nice tight ends. Okay.
Out of context.
Brian Thomas, no comment. Brian Thomas and the Jags are taking on your Buffalo Bills, Zach, on Monday night. And then we got Mark Andrews and the Ravens going up against the Cowboys in what is really a dire situation for Baltimore, off to an 0-2 start after that collapse last week. Based on what we saw last week, I think Andrews is a solid play. I think likely he's going to have his weeks kind of going forward. But in terms of this week between Brian Thomas and Mark Andrews, I would probably go back to Andrews. And it's kind of just a case of what is the Jaguars' offense with Trevor Lawrence? I don't think it's great. Christian Kirk has been on a milk carton the first 2 games. Gabe Davis is there. He had 7 targets last week. Evan Ingram potentially, is he out again? If
He's
he's out
questionable.
again, okay. So if he comes back, then I like Andrews even more here. If he's out again, Ryan Thomas looks a little better. Maybe some more work there. Um, Jaguars offense, as far as the passing game goes, it's just kind of tough to figure out. ETN's getting targets. I would say Andrews is more reliable here to me. What about you?
So if the Jags wide receivers weren't ranked as low as they are, I would have said stay away this week in my start set articles. The Bills were like give the six most points, six fewest, excuse me, six fewest points to wide receivers, and I think it was fourth fewest to receivers on the perimeter, and Brian Thomas is on the perimeter for the Jags. So this, for me, is a sit for Brian Thomas. Put Mark Andrews in, and honestly, I don't know if I like Laporta this week because of how good the Cardinals defense has looked the first 2 weeks.
Um, I'm gonna chalk. I'm gonna chalk the Cardinals defense looking good last week to the Rams injuries, and
That's
maybe
fair.
just a slow start for the Bills in Week 1. That defense is not good. The Rams got way behind and quit. So that
We'll see.
maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We'll see. But to me, that defense is still not good. So Untamed Music, we are both going with Mark Andrews, I guess, here for this week. I love me some Brian Thomas moving forward, though. I think he's got a ton of talent, and he'll be just fine down there in Jacksonville if Trevor Lawrence can ever figure it out. But hey, keep those questions coming, guys. We love it. Thank you all for being with us tonight. In the meantime, let's jump back into the articles, I guess. For now, we talked about the running back starts. Zach, here's the big one where I feel like I kind of got out of hand. Maybe stepping out of my shoes a little bit with this one, but I put Kyron Williams as a sit in this week's article. ECR rank of 13 over on Fantasy Pros, the expert consensus. And, I get that we probably don't have a world where people who own Kyron Williams are benching him this week or sitting him. And that's fine, but I'm just going to say I think expectations need to be tempered a bit. And it goes back to what we've already brought up here off the top, and that's the Rams. Basically, the Rams' entire offense, entire team is out hurt, and that includes the offensive line. Um, it includes Cooper Kupp. It includes Puka Nakua. So Matthew Stafford, like in terms of starter-worthy talent that he's got to work with this week, Kyron Williams is it. And I don't love that. I know there's going to be opportunity. I'm assuming there's going to be volume, but you're going up against the 49ers defense that is really good still. And Williams hasn't done anything really in the first 2 games to ride home about either in terms of production running the ball. So unless he's catching a bunch of like check down passes and inflating his PPR value that way, I just I don't know, man. I'm down on him this week, and I'm down enough to say like he's kind of slipping into that fringe RB2 range where I might look at some other guys over him. And he hasn't averaged 3 yards per carry in either of the first 2 contests. That was a stat I wanted to throw in there. So, what do you think? Am I nuts?
So I'm going to go into one of my articles, not fully, but Fred Warner is pretty good at football. I think he has his football thing patted down, and I think he's going to be one of the guys to stop Kyron Williams. I think that whole Nick Bosa and all the rest of the Niners defense are pretty good too. But you cannot start Kyron Williams this week, especially with them being down 4 linemen this week. Tyler Higbee's out too right now, so
Mm-hmm.
he's not much of a blocking tight end, but he'd still be there and help block for Kyron. It's just I'm with you in this one. Kyron can stay on the bench, but what you already alluded to this guy before. Najee Harris is a sit. Explain that one.
Najee Harris is a sit. And by the way, Untamed Music, I don't think you should bench Laporta either. I don't think Zach does either. He was just a little excited about that Cardinals defense. Laporta will get it figured out. Don't worry. Najee Harris is a sit. I like what I'm seeing out of the Chargers' run defense so far, man. The Chargers as a whole, I think they're for real. I know you can argue they haven't played 2 not so great teams, but Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, they're splitting the snap counts again this year for the Steelers through 2 games, so it's kind of the same story it's been the last couple of years. Um, Harris is getting plenty of opportunities when he's on the field, like he's getting double-digit carries. Hasn't found the end zone yet, so he hasn't really had a great uh, fantasy football stat line thus far. Uh, I kind of feel like this game's going to be a rock fight, and in typical Steelers fashion, I guess you would say a rock fight. And I just don't I don't see him being in the RB2 range when I look at some of these other players and the matchups they have, like a DeAndre Swift. I think he has more upside than Harris this week. I think Jerome Ford has more upside. I might even say I like Devin Singletary a little bit better than Harris this week. So I guess that's just kind of where I'm at. To be fair, I don't love J.K. Dobbins in the matchup either. So that's just kind of how I see this game going. Kind of like Steelers Broncos last week, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I steered clear of the running back room for Pittsburgh because you don't know who's going to lead them in snaps, who you don't know who's going to get the carries, you don't know who's going to get what. So I mean, at this point, until if you did draft him, that's unfortunate. But at the same time, you just got to wait and see what happens and who emerges as RB1 down there in Pittsburgh. But like I said, it's just a room I want no part of.
To be fair, I truly don't know that anyone's going to emerge as the RB1. I think Warren and Harris both complement each other well, and they have different strong suits, but they can also get it done in multiple ways. I truly think it's just a timeshare, kind of like it's been in years past. Do I think Najee Harris is going to be a total disappointment, kind of like he was for much of last year? No. This week, though, I just kind of want to steer clear. There's guys with more favorable outlooks, I think, based on matchups and also just the number of snaps that they're playing and whatnot. So that's kind of my thinking there. Keep those questions coming, guys. Week 3, start 'em, sit 'em, bring them to us. We will do our best to get you pointed in the right direction, or at least get you feeling better about making a decision between now and kickoff of the games on Sunday. If you got anything for TNF, drop that too. Zach, let's go to your wide receivers article. Poster child for the piece. Devontae Smith of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going up against the New Orleans Saints. The world beater New Orleans Saints this week? I don't know. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean the Saints have looked incredible. I'm mad that I traded away Derek Carr. Why did I say Drew Brees? I'm dating myself 4 years, I guess. Derek Carr, almost did it again, for a 3rd round pick in our dynasty. I should have asked for a second, damn it, but he looks unstoppable. Kamara looked amazing Sunday. So you think that all the points that the Saints scored, if they continues this Sunday, which I think it will, Eagles are gonna have to throw the ball, right?
Yeah.
AJ Brown, questionable as of right now. I think. I don't think he's back yet.
I heard AJ Brown himself said it's going to be a multi-game absence, so that would indicate he's going to be out.
Yeah. So Devontae Smith has to fill in that role. So I think he's going to get a lot of targets this week against the Saints. Granted, it's probably the corners are not matchups you want with Marshawn Lattimore and Paulson Adebo, but at the same time, I trust Jalen Hurts. I shouldn't say trust. I moderately trust Jalen Hurts to be able to put the ball where Devontae can get it and get you some points this weekend.
I like it. Yeah, Devontae Smith, I think, is definitely a start for me, whether or not Brown is in there. Big question for me, I think, is are the Eagles going to figure this out? Is Nick Sirianni that bad at his job? I don't know. Smith has been great through the first 2 games, 7 catches in both. He had a touchdown last week. 10 targets with A.J. Brown out of the lineup, 8 with him in week 1. Good call there out of you. let's see. You've also got to start DJ Moore for the Bears against the Colts. So more love for this Bears offense. A little bit from both of us here. Walk us through this one.
So DJ Moore, despite having Caleb Williams as a quarterback, has still scored 10+ points the first 2 weeks. And that's without a touchdown. That's just yardage, that's just PPR, that's just all that. So you figure the more game time that Caleb Williams gets, the better he should get, right? I mean, granted, the offensive line, like we discussed earlier, is not what we would hope. I mean, like I said, we can probably run and get a sack on Caleb Williams at this point, but I still believe in DJ Moore to get some points against two guys that I have never heard of before in the Colts defense.
I like it too. I think DJ Moore is definitely still wide receiver two. Till we're proven otherwise here, especially with Keenan Allen potentially being out yet again. I haven't gotten an update today on him, but still questionable last I looked. So definitely keep an eye on that. A lot of mouths to feed in that Bears offense, and Caleb Williams has not had a lot of time to feed them in the pocket. So we'll see how that develops. But like we said earlier, with DeAndre Swift and Forrest Buckner being out, that Colts defensive front takes a hit there. So um, definitely like starting DJ Moore. And based on where you drafted him to, both these guys, like it's not time to panic and freak out and sit them just yet. So I'm with you there, staying the course on them for sure. In your sits, you have for receivers DK Metcalf with the Seahawks. Interesting call there. They're going up against the Miami Dolphins. And then you also have from that same Bears Colts game, Michael Pittman Jr. So you're sitting the Colts in this matchup. Based on your receiver start 'em sit 'em recommendations, I'm getting a little nervous about maybe going out and trying to take the Colts in Survivor this week. I don't know. But walk me through these sits here, Metcalf and Pittman. You can focus on one more than the other or whatever you want to do here.
So I'll start with DeKalen Metcalf. Yeah, he had a good week. And the other thing was he was also questionable when I wrote it. He is now healthy. Thank you, Yahoo, for giving me that in the middle of the show. But he's also going against the Dolphins defense, who has Kendall Fuller and Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey didn't look too good last week. I mean, Josh Allen made him look like trash, and Jalen Ramsey's now 0-5 against said Josh Allen since he called him trash. Had to get that in there. But I still believe Jalen Ramsey has it against other teams, and I think maybe he's going to be able to stop DK from having a monster game like he's had in the past. And then Michael Pittman Jr., it's just that Colts offense. Anthony Richardson, if he's not running the ball or throwing touchdowns, which obviously throwing touchdowns getting points. It's been to one guy. I feel like it's Alec Pierce. He is the only guy he's targeting in the red zone. I feel like, and then the Bears defense has stopped everyone except one, and that was Nico Collins last week. So I just feel like that I trust the Bears defense a little bit more. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I shouldn't, but someone's got to step on the Bears team, step up on the Bears defense, and I think it's going to start this week.
Pittman's interesting. Hasn't done much of anything, and the Colts offense, along with the defense, leaving a lot to be desired through the first two games. So I know Anthony Richardson is basically a rookie because of how reduced his rookie season a year ago was, but not looking great so far in Indianapolis. So I like that call. DK Metcalf, I like you going out on a limb there. He's actually ranked 14th in the Fantasy Pros ECR this week. So if we were going to play a little would you rather here with Metcalf, going down to wide receiver 2 fringe territory, Zach, would you rather start Metcalf or Drake London against the Chiefs?
Give me London. I liked how good the Falcons offense was Monday night and that comeback. Granted, it took them a little bit, but if that's the way they're going to play, which I'm hoping, and I shouldn't do this, I think Kirk Cousins has it back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Would you want Metcalf or let's go Tank Dell? Houston is at Minnesota.
That one I might have to go Metcalf. Just the name
Metcalf.
appeal, and
Okay.
there's too many mouths to feed in Houston.
Metcalf or George Pickens from that Chargers Steelers possible rock fight game we mentioned earlier.
I'm gonna go Metcalf only because again, that's another quarterback I don't trust in Justin Fields right now. Justin Fields has shown me he's just a run first quarterback so far. He's only getting 150 yards passing a game, and that's not what you want to see out of your quarterback if you have a wide receiver on a team.
Okay, one more for you. Metcalf or Seahawks teammate Jackson Smith and Jigba? You weren't expecting that.
No, I was not.
Big game last week, though.
Yeah,
Is he alive for good? Is he here for good?
I will probably stick with Metcalf only because he's wide receiver one, and they're gonna try to design plays for him more than Jigba.
I got you. For reference, I had mentioned Metcalf was 14th in the ECR. Dell, London, and Pickens were 21, 22, 23, respectively. Smith and Jigba, for my money, is ranked too low in this matchup against Miami. He's all the way down at 30. I like him again this week. But yeah, I fully see your point. I think Metcalf fringe wide receiver 2 range this week. Um, just given everything that's going on there. I'm not going to say the Dolphins defense scares me, but Geno Smith has weapons. And if Smith and Jigba continues to play and make good on his looks like he did last week, hopefully that sticks around. We have got about, we'll do another 20 minutes or so before the kickoff for Thursday Night Football. If you guys got questions, drop them in the chat. We're here to help you. We're just buying time going through these articles. You guys can go read them at flurrysports.org, but we want to help you with your teams right now. So let us know if and how we can be for tonight or the weekend as a whole, week 3. Just let us know. In the meantime, Zach, let's jump into your tight ends article over on the website. We have got Mike Gesicki as a sit. I'm interested to hear about this one. We're going to go in reverse with this one. We'll do sits first because Mike Gesicki played awful well last week for the Bengals. Why is he a sit this week?
Because the Commanders don't give up points to tight ends. I mean, they were right at the bottom when I did it. Let me look here. Yeah, Commanders are last. 0.75 points per game, fantasy points per game to tight ends. Granted, one of them was the Giants, and we have no idea what's going on with the tight ends ever since Darren Waller up and left in the middle of the offseason for no reason, I guess. Never got a reasoning on that, but it is what it is as a Waller dynasty owner, but gotta move on. But I just believe, like, the Commanders' defense, yeah, they gave 3 touchdowns to the Giants last week to a Daniel Jones-led offense. So maybe not the best logic for me, but I still believe in him to stop Mike Gesicki. And also, Gesicki is now questionable. So that also leads into this, which how much usage is he gonna be able to have come Sunday if he still has a questionable tag?
Yeah, for sure. Calf injury. He was a limited participant in Thursday's practice. The other thing about Gesicki, too, is he had those 9 targets last week, caught 7 passes, 91 yards, 16.1 PPR fantasy points, and he did so playing only 48% of the Bengals' offensive snaps. So that's something to keep in mind. Like, is he going to continue to have that high of a usage rate when he's on the field? Now, I think he is clearly the team's best pass-catching tight end, but does T. Higgins come back? I don't know. I'm not necessarily sold that happens this week. There are other mouths to feed in this offense. Your point about the Commanders and what they give up to tight ends is definitely something to note as well. The week prior, Gesicki only had he had 4 targets, 3 receptions, not terrible, but only 18 yards too. So perhaps last week a bit of anomaly there as the Bengals tried to attack that Chiefs defense in different ways. Um, so I can get on board with it for sure. What else do we got here? We are sitting Colby Parkinson for the Rams against the 49ers. So more hate for the Rams.
Yeah, and like I said, both of Gesicki and Parkinson were waiver wire darlings the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. I feel like. I mean, I think they're nothing more than that, and I mean, I fell into it too, only because I had to go get a tight end. Evan Ingram's out. Don't know if he's coming back this week or not. So I had to go pick up Gesicki, but it's also a 16-team league. Results may vary. So, but with Parkinson,
Sure.
I just don't trust him right now this week. Playing the Niners defense that has given up, what was it? I think it was 2.7 points, fantasy points per game. Like I said earlier, Fred Warner's good at football. He's gonna be able to tail Parkinson this week and probably having a couple other guys on him. But the Niners defense is so good. It's just you might just want to not start any tight ends that go against them this year. Now I see we do have a question: start Gesicki or Kincaid this week? Oh, he's about 2 minutes too late. I'm going Kincaid. Maybe a little bit of bias, but still.
Kincaid for you against Washington. It's definitely going to be Kincaid for me of the two as well. I'm sorry, against Jacksonville. The Bills play the Jags. Yeah, Dalton Kincaid, I think you got to go with him there, especially with Gesicki having this calf injury now. So I'm on board with that. I don't think Gesicki's necessarily terrible this week, and I'm not, saying McAdoo's saying that with him as a sit in the article either. But as far as like the top 12 tight ends, I agree he's kind of on the fringe. Whereas Kincaid, he's still going to be in that top echelon, and really just waiting for him to break out. So uh, another question from Adam A123, and we also have one from the Joker coming up here. What are our thoughts on Jaden Reed when Jordan Love comes back? I mean, based on what we saw in Week 1, you got to be pretty excited, right?
Yeah, and I know. Hopefully, Bruner's still in the chat, so he can give us his thoughts on Jordan Love. I mean, how could he not like this pair? Like they scored 30 points last week, not last week, Week 1, excuse me. And then last year it was just a good pairing. I feel like with the two of them scoring a lot of points, and I think you're going to go back to that if I shouldn't say if when Love comes back.
Yeah, I'm a big Romeo Dobbs guy, being out of Nevada, but Jaden Reed is pretty awesome. He's pretty freaking awesome. And from listening to Lombardi sweep and not really being sure what to think of guys like Christian Watson, I like Jaden Reed when Jordan Love comes back. Hopefully, Jaden Reed can do something in the meantime as well. That remains to be seen. We got the Joker here going back to Week 3 questions. Defense question. Okay, I'm here for it. Jets defense or the Bears defense? Also, would we do Brock Purdy or Baker Mayfield? Full PPR doesn't necessarily matter with the quarterbacks. Jets or Bears defense? McAdoo is holding up the Jets jersey that he's got on. My dog is dreaming in the background. I can hear it. I don't know if anyone else can. So you're going Jets defense. Which of the two quarterbacks?
You know what? Screw it. I'm going Baker. Why not? I've like that Bucks defense. Bucks offense, excuse me, has been going off all year long. I fully expect them to keep going this week against the Broncos defense this week. So give me Baker Mayfield. Hopefully he throws some to Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. I need them points, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the Jets defense tonight as well. the Patriots have run the ball. I actually think the Patriots will have more success running the football tonight. They've shown an ability to run it. Ramondre Stevenson has looked great through the first two games. Jets can't stop the run. Now, is that going to translate to fantasy points? I don't know. Is that going to translate to actual game points? I don't know. The Patriots probably just be able to work the clock and maybe try to keep it competitive. But I'm definitely going to go Jets defense tonight. I don't know how New England has any passing attack against them. And then for the quarterback question, that does not matter as far as PPR scoring. I'm probably going to say.
I mean, if it ends up being a pass just like Mahomes caught week 1, it could matter. So
Yeah, that's true. Give me Baker Mayfield. I'm going to stick with Baker. I think the Rams being 0-2, yes, they're all banged up, but in a desperate situation, defense is going to have to step up. And there's also a case of the Niners just blow them out because no one steps up, and then it's, run the clock down. Purdy's not doing a whole lot, so he could really only have 2 to 3 quarters to actually rack up stats for you. And Baker Mayfield, I can't go against Baker Mayfield right now. The dude's on fire. Matchup with the Broncos doesn't scare me. Bucks look great right now. I like the marriage between him and the new OC down there. So give me Baker tonight in week 3. Adam A123 back in. Should he panic and trade Drake London away? So Drake London through 2 games. Let me bring him up here. We could run through exactly what he's done. Still don't know how the Eagles let the Falcons win on Monday night either, by the way.
this is why you get the point early and run the ball late.
Yeah. 3 targets for London in week 1, did nothing. This past week, 7 targets, 6 receptions, a touchdown, 54 yards. I don't think you need to be panicking about anything here. He's going to be the wide receiver 1 for this team so long as he's healthy. So, you agree?
Yeah, I don't know why you'd panic and trade away Drake London away unless you get an offer that's you can't refuse at this point. But I don't see that.
Yeah, if there's an offer on the table, let us know. We could look at that. But as far as just freaking out trying to trade Drake London, no reason to be doing that right now at all. We both are in agreement there. Z Smitty on YouTube, hello, welcome in. We have got detailed question here. Should he start quarterbacks? Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff, Derek Carr, or Geno Smith? This week he has Love, but he might not play, and the others are on the waiver. Did something change with Jordan Love this afternoon? Because last I knew, he's definitely not playing, and he might not play next week either. So I'm gonna rule him out here initially in my thought process. Aaron Rodgers tonight against the Patriots. Jared Goff for the Lions against the Cardinals. That matchup kind of feels like a shootout to me. Derek Carr against the Eagles. Geno Smith at home against the Dolphins.
Love goes through limited padded practice Thursdays. He's hopeful to play Sunday. I mean, I see 3 guys that should not be on waivers, depending on how big your league is. I don't know why Derek Carr is still on waivers right now with how hot he's been, but if he's still there and Love does not go on Sunday, you gotta go get Derek Carr. And who thought that in the year 2024 we would be saying that?
Yeah, I like Derek Carr this week. Aaron Rodgers, I could definitely rule out. There's some crazy something. I don't think Rodgers has thrown for it's either 250 or 300 yards in a game since 2021. So, and the Jets don't need him to do that with the running backs that they have. And in this matchup, I don't think they'll have to do that. So Rodgers for fantasy, not nearly what Rodgers in real life and what he means to an NFL team is. I don't foresee that changing tonight. Um, if Jordan Love does not play, and even if Jordan Love does play, I don't know that I would be starting him over any of Goff, Carr, or Geno. I like all of them quite a bit. I think Jared Goff could do good things in that game, and I also really like Geno Smith against the Dolphins. If you didn't want to go with McAdoo's choice of Carr there, so any of those three would work for me. If I had to pick one, uh, screw it, give me Goff. Bounce back game.
He's jerking off.
Oh man, Adam A123 still going here on Drake London. We can get back to that. He said Kirk Cousins looked so bad until that final drive when London had a score. I think Kirk Cousins is still working off some rust from the injuries. I think it'll get better. It may not happen this week against Kansas City, mind you, but I'm still not selling Drake London just yet. He's being offered Rashee Rice. There's what we're looking at. Do you like that anymore? Are you going to sell Drake London for Rashee Rice?
No. Rashee Rice can go play real life GTA and stay away from football fields. I don't know how he's not suspended at this point, but I'm not giving up Drake London for Rashee Rice.
The courts are overrun, man. That's why. I don't like that trade at all, just because I'm not doing wide receivers straight up and rest of season. Still think London can be as good or better than Rice for sure. So wouldn't do that. I would try to get a little bit more. Maybe if your team has another need that you can address, like throw in a running back for throw in one of your bench guys or something like that. Try to work that over a little bit and see what else you guys can't come up with. I would still hold steady though. It is only week 3. You said it yourself when you asked the question, should I panic and trade him away? Don't panic. It's week 3. It's all mellow out. Mellow out. Keep the questions coming, guys. If you got anything else, we will do another 7 to 10 minutes and then hop off before Patriots Jets on Thursday Night Football. That is not me. That is not Mike McDaniels. It is me. It's not Mike McDaniels. But I don't even know if I should take that as a compliment based on whatever that guy was doing last week on Thursday Night Football.
Getting his ass kicked by Buffalo.
Yes, he was. And he just seemed lost. And then Tua got hurt. So there's that. Zach, let's finish up your tight end article here, and then we can answer any last-minute questions that people have. Thank you guys again for being with us. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out the site, FLURRYSports.org, where you can read articles like Zach McAdoo's tight end start sit, where we have to go over the start still. You have Kyle Pitts as a start for the Falcons against the Chiefs. So we've been talking a little Drake London here, looking at that matchup. Why are you bullish on Pitts this week?
He's playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who have given up 26.1 points to Isaiah Likely 2 weeks ago. Last week was 16.1 to Mike Gesicki. And like we said, Kirk Cousins is getting healthier, and Kyle Pitts has... We've seen it before in Florida. Granted, we haven't really seen it in the NFL. He's got the wide range of talents, including his wide-ass wingspan. You have to believe at some point Kyle Pitts is going to do something.
I've been waiting. You've been telling me to believe for, 3 years now?
Since he was a rookie. I don't care. I will die on that hill. Probably because he was a Florida Gator. But still, Kyle Pitts will be a legend.
Are you still telling me to believe in Kadarius Toney?
No, drop that motherfucker.
Mr. Gator? There we go. I mean, hey, he might do something. If he's going to do something, you would think it'd be now. They got the quarterback. They got improvements. They got talent around him, but don't know, man. I'm still waiting.
Kadarius Toney's gonna go learn the UFL, man.
Thiago Alcantara won't let the Mike McDaniel stuff go. Will Tyreek Hill go off this weekend? Really needs it for fantasy. Tyreek Hill is going to have Skylar Thompson throwing him the football this weekend against the Seahawks. That right there makes me worry a little bit. Now, Skylar Thompson did not do half bad for the Dolphins when they faced the Bills in the playoffs a couple of years ago. McAdoo might remember grabbing his ass cheeks in a nervous wreck late in that game. I don't think he's going to go off, but I think he'll still be okay. Do you agree with Mike McDaniels on that?
I don't agree with me grab my ass cheeks. I just remember how long that game.
Oh, you were hanging on to your butt.
I was.
We all know it.
Might have been nervous. I just know I was not. I was pissed off at how long the game took. I don't know. I don't. Skylar Thompson came in so late last week. You don't know what he's gonna do. We don't have a true sample size for Skylar Thompson yet. So I don't think he's gonna go off. He might put up a respectable 12 points or something, but I wouldn't expect.
The ECR Fantasy Pros Expert Consensus has him ranked as the wide receiver 12. So that's a bunch of experts, their rankings lumped in together for those who aren't familiar with the ECR. Wide receiver 12 this week is where they have him, and that's knowing it's not Tua. So, Zach, would you rather start Tyreek Hill or Garrett Wilson tonight?
Probably Wilson.
Okay. Tyreek Hill or Chris Olave?
Olave. I'm a believer in the Saints offense.
Okay. Tyreek Hill or one of your wide receiver starts DJ Moore?
Oh, I'll go Hill only because he's got speed and he can probably get more yards after catch than DJ.
All right. So McAdoo gave you the wide receiver 13 and 15 over Hill. I didn't give him the 14 because it was Metcalf, who we talked about. He's down on this week. And then DJ Moore's wide receiver 16. So that puts Hill right around the wide receiver 15. And I kind of agree. Like I feel like he's probably accurately ranked around wide receiver 15 this week. Might be a total flop, but with his speed and the Dolphins, I figure you want to believe that they're going to be trailing in this game when you're trying to predict game script. So maybe some garbage time stuff there or whatever as well. So hopefully, Tiago, I'm going to be pulling for you though, because if Tyreek Hill goes off, that means my team might also win. That being the Dolphins, because apparently I'm Mike McDaniels now. To finish up the tight end start sit article, any last minute questions, guys? Drop them in.
2 minute warning. 2 minute warning.
2 minute warning. You got it. Dalton Schultz. McAdoo, you have him as a start as we wrap up the articles from the website. Talk to us about what you're seeing in him. Texans going up against the Minnesota Vikings this week.
Yeah, we already said that there's a lot of mouths to feed in Houston. I still got to believe that Dalton Schultz is going to be able to get open against the Vikings. George Kittle went up and scored 20.6 fantasy points PPR wise against the Vikings. I believe Schultz can get to that 10-point marker that I always not harp on, but like that's like the benchmark for wide receivers, tight ends, really. And so I gotta believe in Dalton Schultz.
Okay. I think the array of targets that Stroud has to work with there is what's most concerning to me. Looking at what Schultz has done so far, this season. 3 targets in both games, 3 receptions in the first, 2 receptions in the second, only 16 and 21 yards. Um, it might just be a field call for you. Uh, I can get on board with it in terms of the tight end positions kind of feels like a wasteland right now in a lot of ways. I mean, that's nothing new, but I would rather be starting Schultz, I believe, than some other guys. Probably, I don't know. He's probably around tight end 15 for me this week, I would say, just off the top of my head. We do have a last minute question here. T Money, hello. Let's knock this out, and then we can all go watch some Thursday night football. Should he trade Patrick Mahomes, Calvin Ridley, Drake London for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase? So we would have a Bengals stack there. 10-man team. His team right now is Mahomes, Josh Jacobs, James Conner, CeeDee Lamb, London, Dalton Kincaid, DK Metcalf. I don't know who JMO is. I'm blanking on that. And then the bench is Ridley, Carr, Ford, Xavier Worthy. Jonathan Brooks is on his IR spot. It's a hell of a team, even for a 10-team league. And oh man, you're giving up the extra piece. You're giving up Mahomes, so I know it wasn't good last week. I just feel like you're kind of selling low right now on Drake London and, in a way, Patrick Mahomes in this trade based on what the result last week when he didn't throw for that many yards. So I'm a little hesitant here. What say you?
I am against this trade. Burrow, I don't know if I said it on this stream or was talking to my friends. Burrow has a 50% completion rate of NFL season so far. He's been hurt in half the seasons he's been in. I feel like he's made of glass. I feel like he can get more out of Mahomes. And then when it comes to Chase, Ridley, and London, you gotta. I just don't believe that Chase is worth more than the two wide receivers that are there. So I would keep Mahomes, Ridley, and London in this scenario.
Yeah, I think I'm going to side with you there for now. Ridley hasn't been bad. I still think Levis can chuck it around and get someone like Ridley points. It's just the stupid errors there in Tennessee. Titans haven't looked half bad. And yeah, so hold firm for now. That's going to be our advice. I like your team. I think you're going to be okay for the moment. And again, it's for me a big part of it is it feels like you're selling low on London and in a way Mahomes there too. So especially for a Bengals outfit that hasn't exactly had their shit together just yet either. So yeah, hold steady for now, I think is the way to go. Zach, you got anything else? Week 3 is damn near upon us. Patriots Jets tonight.
I'm just trying to continue my dynasty league that I have in our Flurry Sports League here. Man, it's been a good 2 weeks for me. Hopefully, continue that stroll.
Yeah, we'll just have to see about that. I don't think I've faced you yet, but when I do, maybe we'll have to let the viewers know how that goes. Thank you all for being with us tonight. Again, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. All kinds of fantasy football content is going up there this week too. By the way, you got an ad drop show, you got some injury news, you got some trade discussion. Zach Bruner's been hard at work, so be sure to check those videos out, and then head on over to flurrysports.org as well. The whole team has been pumping out some good articles, waiver wires, streamers for every single position that you could ever need to stream in fantasy football are up. I guess nobody did a kickers article. McAdoo, I thought that was your job. But yeah, get all that over there. Bruner's rankings are over there. The start sits that we went over tonight, if you want to read those more in depth as you're setting your lineups here going into the weekend. I will try to get on a kickers streamers or see if I would even be allowed to do that because we know how Bruner feels about kickers. That's all I got. I'm excited for week 3. I'm excited to see who plays, who doesn't, and we'll kind of see how things develop here going forward. A lot of interesting matchups this week. We didn't even touch on the fact that Bryce Young got benched for the Panthers. So is Carolina going to really go into Las Vegas and win in the Raiders home opener? Don't know, but a lot more hopefully answers coming in week 3 about where some of these teams and these players stand.
Yeah, I lost a fantasy quarterback thanks to that. Taking
I'm
Bryce Young in
sorry.
taking Bryce
I'm
Young in our
sorry you were
dynasty.
starting Bryce Young in the first place, but
I
hey,
didn't start him, thank God. I don't think I've used him yet. I should have just. I was like, Dynasty League, not a regular fantasy, so I didn't draft him this year. But last year in the rookie draft, I took him 4th overall, and it's been a bad pick so far.
you did say last week the Panthers are good. Oh,
Wide
bookend the whole
receivers, wide
show!
receivers.
Bookend the whole show. Look at me go. Enjoy